OK ここで喧嘩になる。すみません。すみません。よろしい。
We would like to believe what Iran is saying. However, with the discovery of more and more facilities that haven't been registered with the IAEA, the world is left wondering why they didn't just tell us about them from the very beginning. Japan has continued friendly relations with Iran, and as such, we would like to trust Iran. For that reason, all the more, as friends, I would like to join Mr. Suematsu in asking Iran to accept our advice, including the IAEA inspection measures. This is something everyone can accept, and as friendly nations, I hope that you would agree to this. For the first time now, a total administration change has occurred as a result of an election. While there are still many people who doubt the stability of the Democratic Party of Japan, I'd like to offer you proof that a DPJ administration will continue for at least 10 years. This might be somewhat provocative to my fellow Diet member sitting beside me. Behind the scenes politics. People have started to hate that kind of thing. People will not put up with anything less than total transparency. Why has this happened? One big reason is because of the internet. Especially with blogs and websites, there are more opportunities for information to be shared. Under-the-table dealings. They've become unpopular. The chairman of Keidanren was once called the Prime Minister of the economic world. That is because Keidanren made yearly donations equal to 40 to 50 million US dollars to the LDP. The LDP, taking this donation into consideration, became a follower of whatever Keidanren said. For good or bad, Keidanren made almost no donations to the DPJ because they held the DPJ in very low regard. Now that the DPJ is in power, Keidanren is at a loss. I too see faults in the Liberal Democratic Party. Just as my fellow Diet member, Mr. Suematsu, just said, there are good and bad aspects to so-called lobbyist policymakers. In terms of the good aspects, it means that we have people working with specialized knowledge. However, when you have all these specialists together, they tend to ignore the public's perspective and new changes. There is definitely a tendency for people to act on behalf of vested interests. You get a small group acting only in their own interest and doing deals behind closed doors. On the other hand, the DPJ administration's fresh approach is definitely a positive thing. I think everyone has the impression that there are a lot of new faces moving forward and doing a lot of new things. However, concerning their budget screening, which happens to be last year's phrase of the year, there was criticism that this was done by amateurs without expertise in any specific field, and that they were cutting the national budget after only a very short discussion of the issues. In terms of the DPJ's economic policy on the Middle East, I suspect that there will be a merging of politicians, bureaucrats, and the private sector. This means economic assistance and private investment will reach the Middle East through a union of the public and private sectors. It was really a shock to us that we failed to win the bid for the sale of a nuclear power plant to Abu Dhabi. The main difference between Japan and China lies in the fact that we hire local people and empower them, and work to provide them with skills and technology. China, on the other hand, uses their own people. Our way of assistance has the advantage of training local people and paying attention to environmental measures. As we heard just now, the budget for ODA is decreasing, and, as I will say a little later, the private sector in Japan is becoming very introverted. We see this trend in Japanese politics as well. For this reason, neither the public or the private sector in Japan is now willing to make large investments in the same way as such countries as China and South Korea. Still, if you look at the situation in terms of mid to long-term goals, the benefit of Japan's approach lies in our comprehensive assistance from training to developing local human resources. And I would like to make that point clear. In short, the reason why a bilateral relationship with Middle Eastern countries hasn't seen substantial development is that many issues were left to bureaucrats. And there is a problem with leaving things to bureaucrats. They are too busy dealing with other things to be involved with specific issues. However, now the Democratic Party of Japan has the chair of the Parliamentary Friendship Association. And under the leadership of the DPJ as the ruling party, we will do our best to remedy that situation. The national security of Japan has not yet been discussed in earnest, and I think that the recent political confusion surrounding the Futenma base has emerged as a result of that. We must not avoid serious discussion of how to preserve world peace, the role of Japan's self-defense forces, and the meaning of the Japan-US alliance. Fortunately, even though the SDF troops were pulled out of the Indian Ocean, the DPJ hasn't yet withdrawn the anti-piracy SDF troops. So, I would like to deepen our discussion on what Japan should do in terms of worldwide peace, not limiting the discussion to local or regional affairs like the Futenma base and other East Asian security issues.